Welcome to The Explainer. You ever wonder why some revolutionary piece of tech, say an early smartwatch, just completely fizzles out, but then years later, a very similar idea creates a market worth hundreds of billions of dollars? Well, I can tell you, it is not luck. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the hidden framework that separates those world-changing products from just brilliant ideas that fade away. I mean, really think about it for a second. We see an endless stream of breakthroughs coming out of university labs and corporate R&D centers. But how many of them actually make it into our hands and change the way we live? The truth is, very, very few. There is this huge, incredibly expensive gap between inventing something new and making a real-world impact. You know, in the world of tech and venture capital, this gap has a name, and it's a pretty dramatic one. They call it the Valley of Death. And honestly, it's a grim but brutally accurate way to describe that dangerous journey from a working prototype to a product that can actually survive in the market. Now, this isn't just about bad luck or a startup running out of money. It's a systemic failure, and it almost always comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of what technology really is. We get so mesmerized by the cool new invention itself, but that is just the tiniest tip of the iceberg. Okay, so if we're going to bridge that valley, we have to start by changing our perspective completely. We need a whole new framework for thinking about what technology actually means when you're trying to build a business around it. And this idea isn't exactly new, but our understanding of it has definitely evolved. I mean, the ancient Greeks, they saw technology as the wisdom of making. It was a personal craft, a skill. But then the Industrial Revolution came along and just blew that idea up, turning it from an individual talent into a massive system of tools, rules, and processes. And that really brings us to the core idea for today. Technology is not a single patent. It's not one clever algorithm. It is an entire system. It's a whole ecosystem of knowledge, skills, and tools, all designed to solve a problem and, crucially, create value in the marketplace. So, when you look at the research from organizations like the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, a pattern emerges. You see that successful commercialization is not random at all. In fact, it consistently rests on three very distinct but deeply interconnected pillars. And getting this balance right, well, it's everything. So here it is, the whole picture. First, you have product technology. That's your core idea, the what. Then you've got production technology. That's the how, the process for actually building it reliably and at scale. And finally, you have management technology. This is the why, the system that makes sure you can do it all profitably. And this table just lays it out perfectly. Now look closely. The first two pillars, product and production, that's what we call hard tech. It's all about what can it do and can we build it. But it's that third pillar, the management tech, that almost everyone forgets. This soft technology asks the most critical question of all. Can we actually make money doing this? Most innovators never get past that first column. And that Valley of Death? It's exactly the gap where these three things failed to connect. A brilliant product that costs way too much to manufacture or doesn't have a smart business model behind it? Well, that's not a product. It's just a really expensive prototype that's going to end up collecting dust on a shelf.
So if that's the problem, then what in the world is the solution, right? How do successful companies and entire economies manage to bridge this gap time and time again? Well, it's not by accident. They professionalize the process. They build a discipline around connecting these pillars. This very challenge has given rise to a whole new strategic field, technology transfer management. And let's be really clear here, this is way more than just brokering a patent deal. This is the complex strategic work of weaving together product, production, and management technologies to guide an idea all the way from a lab bench to the global marketplace. It's a hugely important discipline.
And the ways we do this have evolved like crazy. I mean, what used to happen through the slow migration of a few skilled artisans now happens at the speed of light through complex global alliances, open innovation platforms, and massive corporate acquisitions. That acceleration demands a much more sophisticated approach to management. Which brings us right to the bottom line. The economic implications of actually mastering this integrated system are, and I'm not exaggerating, absolutely staggering. In today's economy, this is where the global competitive game is won or lost.
Now, to really grasp the scale of this, economists have a term for it: production-oriented services. It sounds a little academic, but it basically just means all the economic value that comes from those softer second and third pillars we talked about. So everything from R&D and design to software and systems integration.
And the value of these services is just mind-blowing. In the US, they account for 56% of the entire national GDP. That is over $13 trillion. The key insight here is that the center of economic value has shifted. It's not just about making the thing anymore, it's about the knowledge, the software, and the systems that enable you to make the thing.
Think about a complex product, like an autonomous vehicle, or even your smartphone. The physical hardware is becoming a commodity. The real value, we're talking more than half the final price tag, is in the software, the design, the integration, all those services. The competitive advantage has literally shifted from atoms to bits.
So what does this all mean? It means the playbook for global competition has fundamentally changed. Market leadership isn't about having the single best invention anymore. It's about building the most efficient and powerful system to integrate all three pillars and bring ideas to life. It is a systems game now, plain and simple.
And that brings us to the final, critical question that every innovator, every company, and frankly, every country needs to be asking themselves. Because the difference between a forgotten prototype and a market-defining product, well, it lies in the answer to this question. Is your strategy built on just one pillar, or is it built on all three?